All right. Hey, everybody. Tanner here for your tool of the week. This week, I want to talk about research and development, R&D. Maybe you call it something else, but as I've thought about um, my personal R&D, maybe it's even just personal development, that maybe that's the way to put it in a personal sense. Um, I tried to dig into the research, and there's really it's all across the board. So I thought really small business. There's a lot of data around what early stage technology companies, which I'm going to throw that away, but let's say small business, growing small business, stable small business, middle market companies, and then large Fortune 1000 companies, and then really you kind of go from whether it's healthcare or manufacturing. So I'm sharing that I dug into the research, but here's what I'm trying to get to. At a minimum, even small business spends 3% at a minimum, and up to, I mean, some are spending 25% in research and development. And what does that look like? So I guess my challenge to you is, as you think about it, so I share some of these things, and this might be kind of phase one of then double clicking, and these 7 blocks that I've kind of put together, I will share over the next 7 weeks, more specifics in each of these categories. But my question to you is, if you look at what you're doing, your life, even if you're just in a job, I say just a job, but how do you perceive, so for me personally, not companies or company I'm involved with, but Tanner Milne company, what am I doing in personal research and development? What investment am I making? So if my income is, say, $50,000 a year, am I spending 3% in personal growth, research and development? So think about that a little bit, and how that might apply to you and to your circumstance, and as income scales. And so is 3% the number? Is 5% the number? Is 10% the number? Just think about that, though. A couple interesting quotes. If we knew what we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? Albert Einstein. An essential aspect of creativity is not being afraid to fail. R&D is the only way a company can stay young. That's Edwin Land, co-founder or founder of Polaroid. So as I was thinking about this week, my personal R&D list, and honestly, this may not even be an exhaustive list, but if I thought about, if someone tried to drill down to like, what do you invest time, energy, and maybe this could be recategorized in different ways, but these are the 7 I came up with and that I'm thinking about trying to iterate on and improve, that I would call my personal, R&D. So number one, morning routine. I won't double click on that, but I will likely next week dive into that a bit more. Personal development. This could be a big block, a category, which again I'm not going to double click on, but let's call it lifelong learning. So this is a lot of things, reading and classes and seminars, all of it. 3, which I've talked about very recently, thinking time, clarity breaks. I think 3 and 4, there can be a bit of a blend together. And I've talked about number 4 in the past, technology time, which again, I'm not going to double click on right now. I will in the future. And there's been this new idea that I've been hearing about, imagination time, or I've even talked about, time dreaming, 5 weekly planning, 6 never eat alone. I'll double click on that in the future, what that means, but spending money every day, every week in kind of R&D and relationships, and then systems. There's a lot to talk about with systems, personal systems, and refining, reinvesting in personal systems to continue to innovate and grow and develop and all of that. So my challenge to you is to assess and I'm not trying to push for increase of spend as much as where do you spend your R&D money, and where do you spend your R&D time in personal research and development? How does that look? Maybe do an audit. I did not create a specific tool to audit that, but I think just taking some time to think about it this week and assess is productive. So have an awesome week.